Welcome to Wild Wing Cafe out by the university, the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth. It's our first coaches show of the season, the Allen Major Show here on a new radio station, ESPN 730. Excited about the new arrangement with the radio station. Of course, the new season coming up with Friday night's opener against North Carolina Central. A lot to talk about the next hour. Our first of 17 shows this year. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. 704-332-0173. Alongside the coach, Allen Major, and Lanny Ford from ESPN 730, I'm Swierad. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Good crowd here tonight. Got Monday Night Football coming up after the show here at Wild Wing Cafe. So if you're in the area, come on out. The first Allen Major show of the season. We'll talk Niner basketball for the next 60 minutes, and you can stick around and catch Monday Night Football here as well. And, Coach, before we get started, the new radio station for the Niners. A long time we've been someplace else, and it's exciting to be here. There's a lot of excitement. ESPN 730 as the home for Niner basketball.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've had some conversations with Lanny in the offseason and got to know him, and he's like a new recruit. So tonight's the first time we're going to break him in and get him the ball and see what he can do.
It's been a long time since I've done that kind of thing. I think I'll just stay on the sideline.
And you saw the team play last Thursday. I was out of town. I know you're pretty impressed with what you saw against Belmont Abbey.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll agree, Coach. You'd like to see the shooting percentages that they had from the three-point line and also from the just regular field goals to maintain that kind of shooting above 50%, close to 70% on the three-pointers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, offensive field goal percentage and defensive field goal percentage are big. And we want to be a team that takes great shots offensively, but you also want to be a team that takes away good shots on the other end. You kind of want to, on defense, you want to be what you hate to play against. So that's kind of the mindset we've been trying to groom here in this kind of early few weeks of practice.
I know when you look at it from the game, from what I came away with last week, you got a lot of kids into play. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of different combinations of personnel in so that you can see different groups because everybody's got a different chemistry when they're on the floor.
They do.
That had to be something to help you build going into the regular season, being able to get that much time.
That's a great point. I think we do have some versatility. I think the best way that some of our young guys can get better is to get on the floor and get that experience. I mean, they've been beating up on each other for about 3 weeks now, and that's great. Practice is great. Watching film's great. Getting extra shots is great. But there's nothing like game experience. I mean, it's clearly the best teacher, and being able to sub and have some depth. And I think there's times we could play big. There's times we could play small, depending on the lineup. So that's a great point. It was good to have that.
We got a lot to talk about, Coach, for the next 60 minutes. We want to remind everybody that the show is on Mondays this year and not Thursdays like it has been in the past. But next week is the one hiccup in the early portion of the schedule because we're going to Central Michigan. We'll be flying out on Monday, so the show will be Wednesday when we come back. So next Wednesday, the 16th of November, right here at 7 o'clock is the next installment of the Allen Major Show. We'll also, as we have done in the past, too, take your email questions as well. And you can email us each week at major49ershow@yahoo.com. That's major49ershow@yahoo.com. Well, Coach, we do open up this Friday, 7 o'clock, the pregame show, 7:30 thereabouts, tipping it off against North Carolina Central. Mm-hmm. It's a doubleheader with the women. I believe they take on Presbyterian at 5 o'clock.
That's correct.
And so it's been a little bit of a history now going on the last few years, opening up with the doubleheader and a chance to see both programs. I know the women's team is supposed to be pretty good, and we know this men's team is going to be a lot better than last year. It's always, it was a work in progress with all the injuries and things that happened last season.
Yeah.
And it was good to get that kind of under our belt and now gone. And I know you're so excited about what you got going on now. And you mentioned depth, but that has to be one of the biggest things that when you wake up in the morning you're excited about is when you get to the arena and get to practice to have all those bodies to get out there and run and really, have options.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'd like to, we'd like to be a team that has that depth and rely on that every night, and come at people in waves, stay fresh, have fresh bodies going in. And what that does is that allows you to maintain your intensity level for the entire 40 minutes. And right now, I don't know, no team in college basketball will start out playing that full, intense 40 minutes. You start out in the 20s, and then you try to build to the low to mid-30s. And then by early December, if you can get to the mid-30s, you're pretty good. Then by conference play, you want to get to where you're that 38 to 40 consistent hard minutes every night. And now you limit your drop-offs. But You made a great point. Last year was about our culture. I think that was the big thing, is kids understanding that aside from basketball, there's just a way you got to live your life every day in terms of doing things right, going to class, being responsible, being on time, taking care of your business, doing all that. And now the step we want to take this year is consistency. We talk to our guys all the time about having great chemistry and great consistency, and having an identity of, now this is what Charlotte basketball is. This is who we are every night. Win, lose, draw, no matter what happens, people leave saying, wow, those guys play hard, they play the right way, they're unselfish, and they enjoy playing together.
When you came here last year, you talked about when you wanted to start things and what you wanted your team to be like when you got your guys, a team that played great, hard, man-to-man defense, got up and down the floor, and it looked like, it was just the first game under your belt with the exhibition game. You got the bodies, you got more athletes. You look at guys, in the past we would, back in the old Conference USA days, we're matching up at Cincinnati, matching up at Louisville, body against body. It looked like that team was, right with the other team that we were playing. And in recent years, it's been a little bit different in terms of, trying to get that athlete back in here. And it looks like you guys have done that. The physicality of these guys in practice and in that game against Belmont Abbey, it has been changing, going in that positive direction.
Yeah, that's the way we want to go. We like to have skill, but we'd like to have athleticism. And ultimately, we want to have a snapshot of our offensive style of speed and control. You want to be able to get up and down the floor, but you want to do it on your terms. You don't want to be ragged about it. And, being able to sub guys is great. And I think we've improved our size. I think our length has improved. We got longer wingspans. And again, that gets back to that field goal percentage. If you can affect people with length and size and make it tough to score on, then ultimately, you want to shape yourself into being that defensive team that's a handful.
When you make that transition like you did coming in for that first year, it's going to take a year or two to get kids in that play to your style of play, because every coach is different, and you've got to get those kids in. So I think there's a major change has been made from last year to this year, but as we were talking before we went on the air, you still got to get those kids on the floor. They've got to get that game experience.
Great point.
And then they've got to keep moving forward and growing from there.
Yeah, and that's the best teacher, as we mentioned. I mean, there's nothing like game experience. With 5 new guys that are truly new, and then obviously DeMario and Luka have got to shake off a little rust. Luka sat out close to almost 2 years. DeMario was about 18 months as a redshirt from Georgia, so transfer from Georgia. So those guys have got to get into it a little bit, but that to me is a good thing. I don't want to lean on the word experience too much, because that starts to shape how you approach it, and you almost want to say, hey, I look at it as energy. And so when you got, inexperience can be a negative thing. I think energy is a positive thing. So even though those guys need to get out there and play, I think it's great, because now you got extra energy coming in. And we've told the new guys, you're going to make some mistakes, but just keep playing hard like you don't know any better. And that's the best way to grow, because it's still the same game. The rims are still 10 feet. The ball's not any bigger. The court's 10 feet longer than high school. Other than that, basketball's basketball.
It'll be a work in progress that's going to start out on Friday night. And you talked about the ceiling being so high. That's what's so exciting, because there's so much growth this team can do. And at the end of the season, who knows what it'll be like. But it's going to be a process, and hopefully each one is going to be as entertaining to watch these guys getting better and better every single game.
Exactly. We've talked about it as a coaching staff. You almost want to bury our guys in improvement, and just every day, you look at all the aspects, and you can get better on both sides of the ball. And, that's the thing. If you're getting better, what happens is your team changes over the course of the year. And now you can look up in mid-February and say, wow, this guy that was playing, 6 minutes a game in November, December, he's playing 12 now, but it's the quality of his 12. It's not just he's playing more, he's playing better, and he's playing more. And, if you can get every guy along the line that's in the mix to improve and just improve daily now over the course of the year, it's amazing how things can change. And so that's the exciting part to me of coaching, is just watching the team grow.
Our phone number is 704-332-0173. That's 704-332-0173. It's the first Allen Major show of the season. First game coming up on Friday at 7:30 at Halton Arena. And for tickets, call 704-687-4949 as the Niners take on North Carolina Central. Every single week we have the Alumni Association weekly email segment. And if you want to email the coach, it's major49ershow@yahoo.com, and we'll answer questions each week. And before our first break, Coach, we'll try to get a couple of these questions in. And the first one coming from Ross Smith. He said for the exhibition game, he saw a starting lineup of Perrier, Dario, DeMario, Jarvis, and Braz. And he said, what would we see on Friday night? Maybe the same five.
Possibly. I think we like the size of that group. It's a good, pretty skilled group. It's a pretty athletic group. So, what you try to do is put a crew out there that's going to set the tone, for the rest of the game. And with being able to sub, that's the beauty of it. At that 16-minute mark, you can come with a few new guys, and that's what we'd ultimately like to do is really develop, just like a reliable second unit, almost the 4 or 5 guys that now come in and keep the intensity level up, and now you weave your starters back into the lineup. I learned a lot watching the NBA last year because the Mavericks did a great job of it. Chicago Bulls had a terrific second unit of guys that just came in, and then when those starters come in, they're fresh-legged, and now over the course of the game, you hope that you can wear people down and get some separation.
Try and get one more question in before the break, Coach. It comes from Greg. He said, in regards to the new players, who will make the most immediate impact on this team? I think you got more than just 1 or 2 guys to choose from, but that's a nice thing, nice problem to have.
Yeah, I hope we get that answer sooner than later. But you don't know. Obviously Perry's had a chance to step in and early on and do some things. Each guy, it's funny, in his own way will show you something like every other day. That's kind of the nature of freshmen and new guys. They're still learning how to be consistent. So they'll show you flashes, and one guy may have a down day, and then the other guy plays his butt off, that day. So it's just so odd. Perry gives you some defensive intensity. Terrence has a knack for putting the ball in the basket. Victor's kind of like a facilitator. He's like a Scottie Pippen type, does a little bit of everything. Mike Thorne's just a big body that's growing and getting better. Ilya is just a banger, even though he's a junior college guy. He's a bruiser, and, he knocks people around. So I think all those guys in their own way, can have an impact. Right now, it just depends on what day it is. It's kind of hard to get a beat on each one, but we're really pleased with all the progress. And I want to make a point about our older guys. From the summer all the way through to now, when these new kids came on campus for summer school, our older guys have done a tremendous job of showing them what Charlotte basketball is about, from a culture standpoint especially. Especially Javaris and Dario have been tremendous as far as trying to talk to them and say, hey, here's how we do things. This is why we're on time. This is why we go to training tables, so you can eat right and build your body. This is why we wake up early and lift. There's a purpose to everything we do, and those older guys have done a really good job of that.
That's a great point. You got all the excitement about the new guys coming in, but there's a great bunch of returning players that are going to be very good for the 49ers this season. We'll talk more about them. One of them is going to be our guest later on in the show. Senior Javaris Barnett is going to stop by and talk about all those 3-pointers he made on Thursday night. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. We're back with more of the Allen Major Show on ESPN 730 in a moment. It's brought to you from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Allen Major Show at Wild Wing Cafe, the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth with the coach Allen Major. I'm Matt Swierad alongside Lanny Ford here tonight. Don't forget the next show is next Wednesday. We have a game next Monday, a traveling Monday to play Tuesday at Central Michigan. So the show won't be on Monday night. It'll be the 16th of November next Wednesday night. That's the next installment. Our phone number is 704-332-0173, 704-332-0173. The Bojangles Bow Time segment here, Coach, talking about the depth of this season. We have touched on that a little bit, but we talked about a lot of the new guys. Let's talk about the returning players, and one that really stands out in terms of getting some of the preseason accolades is Chris Braswell, as he's going into his third year now. And depending upon what magazine you look at or what prognosticators saying this or that.
Yeah.
Jeff Goodman from CBS Sports, who's one of the more highly thought of basketball writers, has him first team in the A-10, and that says a lot about how his game has progressed and matured.
Yeah, it has. It has. I think the next step now, as you get better through a college career, it's like a guy that lifts weights. And, your freshman and sophomore year, traditionally is like your biggest jump. And then you make another jump that's pretty good, from your sophomore to your junior year. And, so now as a junior, Braz wants to take another step, but it gets harder as you get older to keep getting better. And that's the good thing. I think he's starting to realize, like, hey, I can, take even more steps, than where I'm at. And we want to spread the floor a little bit this year and give him a little bit more room to operate offensively. And he's shooting the ball, from perimeter a little bit better. So I think with him, he knows that he's our primary option in the post. We want to play inside out, as we talked about before. And I think continuing to get him to be that guy that as you set the tone of the game, you always want your big to get early touches in the game. You kind of establish a pattern of how you want to play. And that's what we want to do with him. We want to ride him as much as we can in the post.
Javaris Barnett, who's a fifth-year senior, is a great example of a guy that comes in and sits out a year, learns the system, but then didn't really play very much his really freshman and sophomore years of eligibility.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, it's a good point. It's like his second, almost going into his third year of playing full-time, and his second year of really playing full-time. And
exactly.
You'd love to get a sixth year out of this guy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, that means we'd have to fake an injury or something and get him a medical red shirt, but that means he wouldn't play this year. So, but I would love to coach that kid again. I tell you what, we sat here last year and talked about the progress that he's made. And, people would come up to our coaching staff and say, oh, Coach, you guys have done a great job with Barnett. And I would say, whoa, hang on a second. We haven't done anything. We gave him an opportunity. But if people would have seen him the summer that we got here, I've told the story before. We'd go into the office on Sunday afternoon or evenings, and he'd be walking out of the gym with his T-shirt over his shoulder holding the ball, just having come from the gym, shooting jumpers. And that's the stuff people don't see. And I didn't grab a magic wand. I don't have, magic dust. I'm not the Easter Bunny. I mean, that kid has worked, and he's earned the right to be in the position that he's in. So, you always want to make sure you give credit where credit's due. And JB has put himself in a position to play the way he's played.
As I watched the game last week, one of the things that came across to me as you were doing the subbing and getting everybody in there, you didn't see as many of what I call first game mistakes that you had. You had some early turnovers early in the game. Mm-hmm. If you go back and look at the stats, they didn't equate to points off turnovers. Right. So it didn't hurt you as bad.
Great point.
But you're going to see it at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did notice, especially with your big men, and it may be because they were so hot from the outside, not a lot of points from the inside, not a lot of balls worked into, but didn't need to. That was the other side of it.
Yeah. That's kind of the great, the balance. You see a few threes go up, and as a coach, you're saying, wow, we're letting a few go, but they kept going in. So it's like, but at the same time, like shooting threes and scoring in the paint, I guess the best analogy I can give is like football. A really good football team can throw it, and they can run it.
Right.
And I think we want to eventually become a basketball team that can score in the paint. And what the good thing about it, you probably saw, is the first half we were on, we did start getting it in there. And, Braz got a couple touches, got to the foul line. Mike Thorne got a couple touches in the second half. KJ came in. So we've got some guys that we can establish in there, and I think that's what we want to be, is a team that has balance. Because if you can score in the paint and burn people from the outside, I think that makes
they can't play both sides on defense.
Makes you tough to guard. Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, the Stat Stuffer bundle package here from Time Warner Cable, going back to the stats against the Abbey on Thursday night, some things that really jump off the page when you look at some of the numbers. We talk about the depth. And last year, guys like Dario having to play 38, 39 minutes, Deuce out there 35, 36 minutes. Yeah. You didn't have a player play more than 21 minutes. You ran a lot of guys in there for double-digit minutes, only 3 guys over 20 minutes. So that's pretty nice to have that kind of option. Mm-hmm. And also you look at 25 assists to 38 baskets made. That's pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, that was probably the stat I was most happy about. because now you want to get that mindset of building unselfishness and sharing the basketball. And if you can run 9, 10 guys out of the game from night to night, which we'd like to do, and all 9, 10 of those guys can find their way to contribute, and you get all 9, 10 looking for each other, that kind of gets back to our deal. You're hard to guard. You're not just leaning on 2 or 3 to carry you. Every guy can kind of find his way in the game, and that gets back to that chemistry part, as we mentioned. When you have unselfishness, that's tough to deal with. And Rick Carlisle, after the Mavericks won it, he made a great, and I've yet to share this with the guys, but I plan to. He called it trusting the pass. And he said he had so much fun coaching the Mavericks because they trusted the pass. And they played, a bunch of guys. Jason Terry, a lot of people don't realize, was second in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. But yet he came off the bench. Mm-hmm. So it's all in, having the right guys in there. And when you're unselfish, I just think that really makes you tough to defend.
Well, these guys have got to have confidence that they're stepping in and whoever's coming in can carry the same amount of weight as the guy that went down.
That's right.
And that's exactly what you're saying. And that's what I saw, as we talked about, such a mixture of different players, not really a set 5 or 6 that played.
Right.
You've always got your 6th or 7th man on the bench.
Yeah.
But you were playing guys at will, and it still bonded and blended out there.
Yeah, and again, especially for the guys that are playing catch-up, it's kind of like if you have 5 new kids moving to a classroom from out of state, and the whole classroom's reading at one level, and then the rest of them got to catch up and read at the level that the others are reading at. That's kind of where we're at. And the only way to do that is those kids got to read at a little faster pace and get some time. So, and we don't want them worrying about us. If they make a mistake, we try to encourage them to keep playing, because the last thing you want is any player, really, the last thing you want is him looking over at the coach saying, hey, I made a mistake. Am I coming out? And we're going to have to be patient, and we're going to teach, we're going to coach. But our guys may beg to differ because I bark at them every day, but I'm really, really enjoying these guys. I mean, we've been together a short time. We haven't been on the court a month yet, but they brought a great mindset to work every day, and they're doing everything we ask them to do. And that, as a coach, that's fun.
How about Dario Green right now, getting a slide back over that shooting guard position? He can still be a point guard when you have the need, but getting him back to a position where he's much more comfortable, and he's so dangerous when he's in that shooting guard position, isn't he? He
is, yeah, he is. What's good for him, we've kind of gone from 2 point guards to 4, in a sense, or 3.5, I guess, last year with just him and Deuce being our primary ball handlers. And that's tough. It puts a lot of pressure on you to do that for 38 minutes a game. But now with Luka and Perry is also guys that can play the point and handle and pass. It'll give us some flexibility to use Dario off the ball more. And almost giving him a look of, kind of like DeJuan the year before we got here. DeJuan was a great setup guy for him. And when he has guys set him up, it allows him to do what he does best, is make shots.
Coach, got a few more email questions want to get in. Emails, again, brought to us by the Alumni Association weekly email segment. Major49ershow@yahoo.com is the email address if you'd like to send Coach an email sometime during the week, and we'll read select ones on the show each week. Coach, this comes from Todd Graydon. Niner fans are anxious to see all the new guys in action. Could you give us a quick summary of each and what they can bring to the table? Thanks, Coach. We'll see you on Friday at Halton. Now, you have talked about a lot of them, but one you haven't talked about is E. Victor, and he is pretty exciting as well.
He is, yeah. He's a kind of a crafty guy. He's an IQ guy as a player. If I could kind of sum them all up, I think, in one word, Perrier is energy. Terrence Williams has the ability to give you scoring. Obviously, Thorne gives you size. Victor gives you versatility, and I think Ilya, you want him to have some toughness. So each guy, as we talk about their roles and the way they can have an impact in the game, that's what you want. And as these games start to unfold, I'm really excited to see how consistent they become, because as you sub guys in and out of the game, you always want the guys coming off the bench to really know what their job is and be excited about that. So now when you go in, you're not searching, saying, wow, I really hope this works out. You're going in and saying, okay, I want to do A, B, and C. And if I start worrying about D, E, and F, I'm going to get off the page. So, but that's a big part of subbing, is making sure the guys going in the game have a clarity about their role so they can be excited about it.
Demario Mayfield, talk about what type of player he is. He came from Georgia, sat out last season, got to be in your program for a year. And sometimes it's tough, like Luka as well, having to sit out last season, just watching and practicing, but not being able to play. I know they're both chomping at the bit to get out there on Friday night, but talk about Demario's game and what he brings to the table. You know,
he brings his athleticism. He's a guy that can get out and run the lanes, and I think be a kind of an attacking guy in transition. He's got a nose for offensive rebound, and I don't know if he and Terrence, worked out that lob together. If Terrence meant to shoot the air ball.
I thought it was an air ball.
Yeah, Terrence said it was a lob.
Okay. So you got the point.
But they might have hooked something up before that just to try to scare me a little bit. But he's got a nose for the offensive glass. He could be one of our better defenders, too, I think, because he's got long arms. He's about 6'5". He could sit down, and I think he can guard, ones, twos, even in some skilled, 4-men, in this league. In the A-10, you'll have some guys that are 6'7", 200 pounds that are more skilled guys. I think he can guard guys like that, too.
Well, Coach, we'll talk about North Carolina Central coming up a little bit later on. That's the opponent on Friday night for the opener. Then next week, a couple of road games at Central Michigan on Tuesday. And it's off to Lamar for a game a week from Saturday. And we did get a time finally today. Going to play them noon Eastern time a week from Saturday down in Beaumont, Texas, before heading back home. Also, our weekly Stat Stuffer segment, again, brought to us by Time Warner Cable. Call Time Warner Cable today and save on bundled TV, internet, and phone. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE. We'll take a break, come back with Javaris Barnett, Niner fifth-year senior from Charlotte. He's our player's guest coming up from Ortho, Carolina in a moment. You're listening to the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Well, Lanny, Coach gets to take a break, and now it's our special segment each show. We get to talk to one of the Niner players, and today it's fifth-year senior Javaris Barnett, brought to us by Ortho, Carolina. Ortho, Carolina, you improved. And, JB, it doesn't seem like it's been 5 years now since you first walked on campus here at UNC Charlotte, but it goes quick, and now it's your senior season. I'm sure you're excited.
Oh, yeah. First of all, I just want to thank God for the opportunity to play the game of basketball. Thank y'all for having me, and, like you said, fifth-year senior is come and gone. These last 2 years has been just awesome for me. Coach Major giving me the opportunity to play, show my talents, and coming to this senior year, just working hard, trying to get the new guys, up to date, and just trying to be a leader, a better leader for this team, and going into this season, trying to do something big, trying to make the dance. That's our ultimate goal, winning. That's what the first priority.
You look at how your career has played out. You're the perfect example, great example of putting in the hard work. And if you put the hard work in, good things can happen. You talk about, being a leader now, and you got a lot of new guys to the team, but you have some returning players. And last year, with all the injuries, it was tough for someone to really step up and become a leader on the team last year. And it's great to hear that you want to be one of the guys this season, because it looks like it's a team with a very high ceiling and could be a great season.
Yeah, last year, we dealt, like you said, with injuries and lack of leadership, and you can see that on the court and with our play. So this year, we're just trying to change all that, play harder, get tougher, me and Dario as leaders, senior leaders, we've been through the struggle, the fight. We've been through the highs and the lows. So coming into this year, we got the experience, and we're trying to show the new guys and the transfers, what it takes to, win a tough game. Every possession counts. So going with that mentality, I think we'll be good this year.
I want you to be honest with us now. You shot in twos 80%, about 85% from behind the three-point arc, 100% at the free throw line, 6 boards. Yeah. Did Coach tell you that was the worst game you're going to have? It better get better off that?
Nah. He just, he kept saying, go inside, but I just kept looking at the scoreboard and see who was shooting maybe 60% from the three-point line. So, I wasn't missing. So, I just kept I just shot till I
I bet if you miss next time, he'll bring it to your attention, though.
Yeah, I think he will. But that's what I do. I'm a shooter, and Coach has the confidence. He tell me, do what you do. If you have an open look, shoot it. So, going to Central, I hope I can have a similar performance and start off the season on the right foot.
Now, you made 6 threes against the Abbey, but how many times, I want to know, with all these new guys and being in the locker room, that great big TV you got in your locker room, how many times have you showed the new guys that dunk you had at East Carolina last year, going baseline and windmilling it on somebody's head?
No, I told them you can just YouTube, just type my name in YouTube, and the East Carolina dunk and the Davidson dunk will be there. So everybody out there, y'all can just YouTube it, And I want to see I thought the Madness dunk was pretty cool too, So I have 3 dunks under my belt. I'm trying to get more this season.
So the green headband, or the headband you had on Thursday, was that the reason for the 6 threes? I mean,
yeah,
you're giving a lot of credit to the headband.
Yeah, a lot of credit to the headband because, like I said, the Madness, I had the headband on, and I think I jumped the highest I ever jumped. So the headband is a lot, but it's just something new. It's nothing. It's just for show, basically.
When you with all the new guys that have come in and all the rotation that was there at the game, how did it feel to have everybody just blending in and not really? You couldn't tell that there were that many new players that were out there.
It felt great to have a sub. We have a lot of depth this year, and the guys that's coming in the game, it's not like it's a big drop off. The guys that's on the bench, they are starters at other programs. So the depth is the biggest impact for this year, and those guys is getting their feet wet. The freshmen, getting a taste of what the game is going to be like, the speed of the game, and how hard we got to go. That's good for us. And coming into this season, I think they're really going to help us in every way.
Talk about some of the lighter things that goes on with the team. We know you're a pretty good practical joker. Coach says you got a great sense of humor. Colby Lewis is not afraid to pull a prank on somebody. All the new guys coming in, the whole mix of a whole bunch of you guys now. Who are the biggest practical jokers? What do you guys like to do away from the court to have some fun?
Well, I think. Well, me and Dario, we are rappers. Y'all saw the cipher at Midnight Madness. We're coming out with a mixtape soon, so y'all stay tuned for that. But it's the team. It's a lot of jokesters. The new guys, they like to joke with each other. I think the whole atmosphere. We're more of a team this year, and that's good. We can have fun on and off the court. There's no beef or animosity in the locker room. We all, like being around each other, having fun. So I think it's going to be a fun year.
It's been a while before, you get practice that starts in October, and you play against each other every single day. And then you got, the exhibition game last week. But now you finally have a game that counts for good on Friday night. How excited are you guys to finally get out there and play a game that means something? It's
been a while, since we, won a game in Halton. We was excited Thursday. It's been, I guess, our last game we won was Xavier in Halton. So that win Thursday was big, and we're going to try to continue. The first game Friday, I think we're going to be amped up. I don't know how the first, 4 minutes going to be. I think we might be a little too excited, and that might be a good thing. That might be a bad thing. But I just think we got to compose ourselves for 40 minutes and stick to the game plan, and we'll come away with the victory.
Javaris, thanks so much for taking some time tonight, stopping out and saying hi. And congratulations on a great preseason so far, and good luck on Friday night against North Carolina Central.
Appreciate that.
Javaris Barnett, Niners senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, has been our guest here on the Allen Major Show tonight. Niners again tipping off the season on Friday night. They will take on North Carolina Central. Pregame show starting at 7 o'clock here on ESPN 730. We're back with the Niner head coach, Allen Major. Our phone number 704-332-0173. This is the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show with Lanny Ford. I'm Matt Swierad alongside Niners head coach Alan Major. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. 332-0173. Bobby Rosinski is standing by anxiously to take your phone call and pass it along to us. So give us a phone call, 704-332-0173. Wildwing Cafe Coach is adding a new promotion this year, 10% off for Niner fans before or after the games. It's the official hotspot for the Charlotte 49ers, so just show your ticket stub before the game or give them your ticket stub after the game for 10% off your entire order. Well, Coach, we've mentioned a lot of the guys that have come back, and one that we haven't mentioned yet is Deuce Briscoe. And, of course, he went to North Carolina Central to begin his collegiate career before transferring out to the 49ers. And playing the Eagles, I'm sure, is an added incentive for him as well.
Yeah, it's there'll be a kind of a degree of emotion there, I'm sure. Obviously you want to make sure we'll help him manage that because, I'm sure if Charlotte was playing against Ohio State, it'd be a level of emotion going on with me. So it goes both ways, players and coaches. But no, I'm sure he'll handle it the right way. And, it'll be a great challenge for us. They got a very good team. They got some Division I transfers on the floor. So they like to get up and down, play a kind of a unique style. But it'll be a great challenge.
In the exhibition game, you came with Deuce off the bench, gives you a spark plug. Of course, he can really shoot the ball at 30 in his Niners debut last year. So you know what you got there. And, you have so many different options now at the guard position. When you have Perrier Henry, who's 6'3", I was talking to Tom Whitestone earlier today, and I said, I can't remember the last time the Niners had a point guard that was 6'3", and that does give you a lot of different options, especially on defense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It gives you, as we mentioned earlier, more size and length. We haven't pressed much yet, but we will more, and do it out of strength. You'd like to do it out of strength as opposed to doing it out of like, we have to press. You want to press because you want to press. So, but having some added depth. And I thought Deuce, as we mentioned, he did a great job the other night of getting up the floor and hawking their guards. But, you come off the bench and as we like to say, as they say on the commercials, you're minty fresh. So, you should be able to get up and hawk the ball more. And, that 3 or 4 minutes you sub out, and now here comes another guy. So, but that's, I think for Deuce it's an advantage to be able to both play point and play off the ball. I kind of use an analogy with him. It's kind of like Reggie Bush and Darren Sproles. I mean, these guys that, one time they're in the slot, other time they're running back, other time they're returning kicks, other time they're returning punts. So the more complete you become as a player, that just increases your value.
You talked about earlier about, as the season wears on, being able to keep that intensity up for 36, 38 minutes the whole ball game.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised at how much the intensity level stayed up, and I know it was because of the subs that you did, but the intensity level seemed to stay up for most of the game, not as much as it was just straight out of the gates, but it still didn't slack off a whole lot, I didn't feel like, as far as the up and down the court presence.
Yeah, I that's the plan, as coaches. We're going to look at video and we're going to nitpick until the sun goes down, but, we always want it all. But I agree with you because as I went back and watched it, I felt that way during the game some, and then when I went back and watched it, I said, you know what? We were probably around that 30 to 32-minute mark, and we had a little lull in the first half, but, that's like two boxers duking it out, and you're getting a feel for one another. But I like the fact that I thought we did maintain it for the majority of the game. And you're still going to have your technical stuff go wrong. But if your effort stays good, then your technical stuff is easier to find because you never want to coach playing hard and the technical stuff. You just like to deal with the technical stuff. So that's what we've been trying to establish in practice is there's this kind of a price of admission effort that you have, and means that when you check into the game, this is how hard you play, regardless of time, score, situation, opponent. And now, when you do make a mistake, it's easy.
You have also that added incentive that there's 2 or 3 guys behind you. If you don't play hard, you won't be out there very long.
That's a great point. No, that is. Lauren Hibbs in the offseason grabbed me and said, hey, he said when we first got here, one of our big things was to build roster competition. And I think we have that now. I think we have a couple of guys at each spot. And when you have roster competition, now that adds a spark to practice, and that makes practice fun because, we try to structure everything. The majority of practice is competitive. And so when there's an edge there and there's that price to pay for every drill, you hope that brings out the best in everybody.
Our phone number again, 704-332-0173. We're going to take our last break of the night. Come back and talk about North Carolina Central, the opponent coming up on Friday night. Again, that's coming up at 7:30. It's a doubleheader with the women. The women start at 5 o'clock against Presbyterian. For tickets, go to give them a phone call at 704-687-4949 or go to charlottefordniners.com for more information. This is the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group.
And, hey, fans, it's time to talk turkey. What are your plans for Thanksgiving dinner or your fried turkey dinner at the Wing? And save yourself the mess and hassle of enjoying a fried turkey this Thanksgiving. The Wild Wing Cafe and the University is now taking pre-orders for an entire Thanksgiving dinner, prepared to serve 8 people or just get a bird and one of our delicious marinades. Gobble, gobble. He said I had to say that.
And you did it very
Why did
well.
I get the gobble, gobble
pretty
part?
good.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that we're saying you're a turkey.
Okay, I'm just saying. The new guy gets the gobble, gobble.
Exactly.
Okay.
704-332-0173, the Alan Major Show here from the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth inside Wild Wing Cafe here at the University with Lanny Ford. I'm Matt Swierad alongside head coach Alan Major. We got some time. If you get one phone call in, maybe 2 before the end of the show. If you got a moment to give us a phone call. Coach, you got North Carolina Central coming up on Friday night. And, the Eagles, a team that finally have finished up all their qualifications to become a full-fledged Division I member of the MEAC. And here's a team, if they were eligible for the postseason last year, might have won that conference. So they're a team that comes into the season with some high expectations as well.
They do. They got a transfer kid, Dominic Sutton from Kansas State. Another transfer from Georgia. Another kid from Oklahoma. So they've got some bodies. And they play a unique style. They'll a little unconventional. A lot of trapping, pressing, to try to get the game going a certain direction. Convert off turnovers, that type of thing. But Lavelle's done a great job. He's an energetic guy. I see him a lot on the road. He works extremely hard. He studies the game. I actually saw him at a coaching clinic in Orlando back in July during a dead period in recruiting. So, if he runs anything that they had at that clinic, at least hopefully we'll be ready for it. But no, he does a great job. And obviously, when you play a team that's in state, there's always a heightened sense to the game. Obviously it'll be we think it's a big game just because whenever Charlotte's playing, we believe it's a big game. We don't ever want to measure our effort by, well, this team's playing, well, let's get up for these guys, and then, this team is here. That's part of being consistent as a team, is that you have this, you practice big so you can play big, and now whenever you need it, you have it because that's what you do every day. And so for these guys, it'll be a big game for them, obviously, having Deuce on our roster now, and I'm sure he knows a lot of their guys, and so it'll be a great matchup.
In the whole reclassification process for them, they went anywhere they could get a game against some very big opponents. So they're not going to be intimidated coming in. But there's a great crowd for Madness. There was a good crowd, student crowd, especially for the game against the Abbey last week. Hopefully, a really nice crowd for Friday night. Fans got to realize only 2 home games in November. So if you want to see this team, you got to come out now.
Yeah, we'll be kind of calling ourselves the Road Warriors here for a while. 2 out of the next 3 on the road. And in terms of the chemistry part, though, I'm actually kind of excited about that. Number one, I'm just excited to see, once we get on the road, not to look past Central at all, but just to how we compete on the road. Who can handle, just being in a tough environment and being in a different environment. And, we treat flights and road trips like business trips. And so, those things are always different. And it's great to see that as a coach. But and then we'll come back in December. We'll have a few more. But, yeah, it's it'll be a short-lived homestand here for the month of November.
It is a challenging schedule too, isn't it?
It is. I think they got it rated first in the A-10 in terms of schedule strength. So the thing I like about that, though, is, and I think JB and Dario would agree. It's your last year. You want to see the last team that you're on try to max out, and we talk about maxing out a lot. And opponents usually bring the best out of you, and so we're going to see some tough opponents, but. At the same time, I think that's great. I think challenges are great for a young team. You want to see what you're made of, especially by the time you get around conference play. You want to know where you stand.
When you hit that road swing and go out on the road, that's when you'll really know when you've picked up some maturity in your young kids that you've got to rely on now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we and those guys, haven't not really traveled yet, but we've already kind of got it in their system. We went on a scrimmage a couple weeks ago and went on the road, so treated that like a road game, almost as a dry run, so they could go through it. So they know that it's not a vacation just because you're going on the road and getting on the plane. I mean, it's a business trip for sure.
Well, the game coming up on Friday night, again, doubleheader with the women. Preparation-wise, you guys are creatures of habit. When you have a game like that, you think it's going to start at 7:30, but you got your routine. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit different, isn't it? It
is, yeah. I think they give you 30 minutes between one game ending and the other game starting, whereas you're used to kind of being in the building hour and a half early. Guys get taped, they go out, they get shots, they go through a little guards, bigs routine. And, nobody out there but the dancers warming up or whatever it is. So they kind of got their own deal going on. But now there's a game, so a few guys may head to the practice gym, or actually practice gym will probably be occupied with some supporters. But you kind of have to be patient and wait for that 30-minute window to get ready. But excited for Kara in her first home game, and she's done a great job. A lot of energy on her staff, and we're looking forward to supporting her too.
Well, Coach, first show is in the books. Good luck on Friday night, and thank you.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, Lanny, for being on the team.
I look forward to it.
And thanks for everybody coming out here at Wild Wing Cafe tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday, but, of course, the game is coming up on Friday. The women start at 5. The men start at 7:30. Our pregame show starts at 7 here on ESPN 730. A special thanks to Lanny Ford and Bobby Rosinski back in the studios of ESPN 730. I'm Matt Swierad. Again, the Allen Major Show is brought to you in part by your Carolina Ford dealers. Check out the fuel-efficient 2012 Ford Explorer today at your Carolina Ford dealer. From Wild Wing Cafe, this has been the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group. So long, everybody.